Hello there, my name is Peter. I'm the owner and developer for company WebAcon, and we do custom web development solutions for clients. And in this specific video, we're going to be developing a small block, a section for a client. The section is called services. So we'll build something like this, but it's going to be custom coded using Bootstrap and CSS, HTML, and we're going to be using advanced custom fields to create that block. In terms of the website and how it stands right now, we have already created top navigation, we have created the header, welcome message, and right now we're going to be working on the services element here. So in order to get started, I'm going to create advanced custom fields table, which will hold all of the information that will be contained within the element here. We're going to need to have a header, description, repeater field, which will hold an image, text, and a link. Let's get started. I went to custom fields, and I have created already something that's called statement. Sorry, no statement, BC12. BC12 will be the section that we'll be building. Now this BC12 is actually a group. So I like to wrap all of my headers and other elements within a group field. This way the names or the ID of elements don't get mixed up between two different elements that might have the same name. Let's say there's multiple headers. So we want a unique header that is specific to a unique ID, which is to a unique group. So we have header, we have subheader. Subheader is the small line of text over here. This is the header. And for the image, we're going to use repeater field, which will have an image, text, and a link. I call them buttons. And within the buttons field section, we have image, text, and a link. That is programmed. And I'm also going to click Hide Content Editor. And it's going to be displayed on home page. So page template equals to home page. Let's go to a page. Homepage, you can see that we have already this information in here, and we can add additional line of text here. So we have services, read more about me. That's how it's displaying right now, but that's not what we want. We want services and subheader, and we don't want that other button over here. So we're going to delete the read more about me. This is the BC12 block that I have started. So it's looking for a group field which has this name. And if it finds it, then it's going to start creating something. If the group field is not there, it's just going to skip. PHP is going to skip to the next element. Now, first thing that I want to define here is the header. The header has been defined, and we're going to define subheader. Now, when I upload it, we'll see that the button will disappear, and we'll have the subtext under it. There we go. I'm actually going to add some space at the bottom. So it's easier to see because we don't have footer programmed yet. That's good. Gives us a little bit more room to see the element. Okay, so let's add some pictures. I formatted pictures to be web friendly, and I'm going to select them right now. So you can see that the images that we have selected, they are fairly small. All of the images, they are only 236 kilobytes total. That's what we want to aim for, small size for all of the images. So what's really cool about advanced custom fields, you can just click select and it will add them automatically for me. The only thing that I need to worry right now is to make sure that they are placed in the correct order that I want to see them on the website, and they are in the correct order, so that's really good. Let's add some text. Photography, can't spell. Okay, excellent. We have images added here, and I'm actually going to add a link. Let's add a link, just sample URL that goes nowhere for now. Just to make sure that we retrieve it and it gets displayed. We're going to click update. And you might think that we're done, but we're not. So if we refresh the page, you'll see that there's nothing added here because we actually need to write a code to display all of the images here on the website. Let's get to that. So in order to display elements, we're going to have to repeat the same process because they are in the repeater field element. So we'll need to repeat through them. Not only that, but they will call for another row because it's entirely different row really with its own columns. So we're going to add a row here. Div class row, and then that's where we start the repeater right here. And we need to make sure that we end the repeater. You'll see that the repeater name is incorrect. That's fine because I'm going to update it right now. We need to go back and see what we named it. The name for it is buttons. And within the repeater element of buttons, we're going to create rows, no, not rows, columns. Div class column 12, so we want to see only one on the mobile device. Column large, actually, here let's do column middle. We're going to have two of them side by side, and column large, we're going to have 3 side by side. If you don't know what this is, my recommendation is to go and learn Bootstrap, because a lot of things that we do here is based on Bootstrap elements. And I'm actually going to add margin top of 4. This is another Bootstrap class that can allow us to quickly and easily add more top margins. Alright, so now that we have this set up, I'm going to add a div tag inside. And this div tag, we will have class of MVA Webeka. Let's do PC12. And that's going to be outer. Just trying to keep my div tags as diverse as possible. A, BC12 would be ID tag for this section. Class, don't want a class for it, just going to be BC12. Now that we don't have a class for it, the styling for this section will go berserk. You'll see that in a second. The services will revert back to this. That's fine. Let's go to styles. I'm going to start working on styles at the same time. So we borrowed BA style, so we're going to borrow it again, but we're going to rename it this time BC12. BC12, and going to change this ID to this and this. Okay. So next time that I need to use it, I'm just going to need to change the font family and perhaps the font size. Well, pretty much anything, everything can be adjusted, but now if I refresh it, it should look normal again. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have started going through buttons, and it probably created a structure here which is invisible right now because it doesn't have any content. But if we add content, we should see it repeat 6 times, and it will have a layout already. So that's what we were looking for, and that's what we have received. So I'm happy with it. If we go back and look at our template here that we follow, we're going to need to have an image, and we'll need to have the circular button at the bottom, which overlaps. So I think we're going to add the picture as a picture, and then we're going to add another div tag for a button, and then we're going to add margin, negative margin on the button. So that's the action plan. I'm not exactly sure if I'll need the outer element, but let's just keep it here for now. So this is going to be our image. And this is our button. And I just want to make sure that we have those styles here. Just to be consistent and specific, this would be a good idea, I think. To be as specific as possible. So we're going to add an image. And the button. I like to have everything ready for me to actually add elements, because we're going to work on CSS style directly within the browser. So we're going to just use inspect mode of Google Chrome. That's where we're going to be adding all of the elements. So restyling all of the elements. While we're here, we're going to grab an image and going to say image src equals to This goes here. Going to close out the image tag, and we need to make sure that we call the image by its name. It's supposed to be just image. Okay. Now this whole thing is actually a link, so we're going to put a link here. Okay. And we're going to paste this again and call link here. Going to close the tag right over here. Okay. And let's add text. I'm not sure if I called it text. Yep, I called it text. Good. Saving. Uploading it. And let's see what happened. Okay, excellent. We have images, we have text. Everything is in a link format. Let's have a look at what will happen when we're going to look on mobile devices. So the images shrink. That's really good. They respond. So they are fluid. Reduces to the 2 image per row, and now we have 1 image. Excellent. I think this looks really good. Okay, so now it's time to style everything. First off, the images themselves. Actually, the images themselves. You see how we have rounded corners here? It's really good that designer did that, but at the same time, it's not very good. The reason why is because I like to make sure that we round corners ourselves within the code, because sometimes I don't have time to round corners within the graphics program. So I'm going to create a style that will target specifically an image, and then we're going to round the corner here. Border radius 5 pixels. You can see how it just slightly rounded. I'm going to increase this to 50 so you can see that it actually does make a difference. Maybe even 10 pixels would look even better. Yeah, I think 10 pixels looks really nice. Let's give it a 10. Border radius. We can even add outline. Border solid. 1 pixel. No, it's not going to be this. Let's see if this yellow color would work well. Maybe not. Blue? Sky blue maybe? Or yellowish? Okay, I've got an idea. I'm building another website here for a massage therapy business. I'm going to inspect this element. I want to get the shade from this website. I'm going to force state on hover, and I'm going to grab box shadow element from here. I'm going to paste it here. Yeah, I think this looks a lot nicer. So the next task here is to create the buttons that we see here on the design. And I don't think it's going to be too difficult. Let's get to work. So here's our div tag, here's our button. Let's give it background color. Turn them yellow. Then we're going to give them Z index of 10. I don't know what. I guess shadow is not dependent on Z index. Okay, forget about this. I though wonder why we can't. Yeah, we need to bring out the button on top of the shadow, so the shadow doesn't affect it. Okay, so from what I have seen, it's not an easy task to move the shadow element on top of a shadow element, so we're just going to ignore it for now, and I'm actually going to do the same trick as we have done with the other website there, to apply shadow when somebody hovers over the A element, over the div tag. So I'm going to take the take this specific image over here. Yeah, we're going to apply it to an image. We're going to create a hover property like this. I'm going to add the shadow this way. So now when we hover over the element, it's going to give us some shadow. That's pretty cool. Okay. And that's not going to work, because if we have a shadow, when we hover over element, it's going to overflow on top of the button, and that's not going to look too good as well. So I guess in this specific case, it's not a very good idea to have shadows at all. So we're just going to forget about the shadow idea. Let's work on the button. Background color. Okay, let's give it a yellow color. Now let's do width of 80%. Actually, even let's do 90. Maybe even 95%. No, 92%. Yeah, that's more like it. Margin left auto, margin right auto. That's going to center it. Border radius, let's do 20 pixels. 10, no. 12, that's more of a circle, almost a circle. 13, so I think 13 pixels is ideal, although it has to have a height. Padding top, let's do 5 pixels. Padding bottom, 5 pixels. Now we need to adjust this border radius from 13 to 15. Let's do 20. Yeah, I think 20 will be okay. And from what I see, it has this transition here. We cannot have transitions on a website. I mean, we can, but it's going to require a lot more coding, and there's not enough budget in this specific website to mess with transitions. Let's just give it some lighter yellow color, and I think I'm going to apply a border around it as well. border solid 1 pixel, and let's give it the orangey border over here like this. I really don't like the contrast of a button to the text. Font weight I don't like to use bold, but in this specific case I think we'll have to use bold, because otherwise it's very difficult to see what's inside those buttons. Margin top negative 10 pixels, 20, 30, 25 probably. Okay. So we're going to do display inline block, and you need to do an overflow of overlay, and I think that should be sufficient. So it is still mobile friendly. Just looking to see if some of them will jump to another line when we reduce the screen size. I really like how it extends past the image. That's really cool. And closes in the kit. So that's the smallest size that we'll ever get right now. Let's see what happens. So all of the elements are inline. So I'm really happy with how it comes out. So I'm just going to keep this like this. Okay, what about the hover effect? I think it would be really cool to do a hover effect on this thing. At least change the color of the button or something. I really like the shade effect. That would be really cool to use. However, we have some issues with that. Actually, yeah, because it's an overlay, overflow, we don't have an issue. So that's good. Let's take this image here and let's force state on hover. Okay, transition 1.25 seconds. Okay, so we get this hover effect that takes, let's change it to 1 second. Okay, so I think this is nice. We have the transition effect going on. We'll keep that. And I'm also going to apply a transition effect to the button. What about if we move the pictures just slightly? And just slight motion. I think it looks really cool with just a tad of motion. Maybe not 5, maybe just 2 pixels. Width plus 5 pixels. No, that's not going to work. Okay, I'm happy with this. For the image hover element. So I'm going to use the same transition for the actual button. Actually, that's not button. That's the same image hover. Now, in terms of the button, we're going to change this to right over not even like this. We're going to change it right over here to the outer section. Then we're going to change this to right over here. So when we hover on the outer div tag, then it's going to target the actual internal image. Okay, I think that's pretty fancy. Not about how it looks, but in terms of the code that goes into it, because I mean we can even control pretty much any element here. Let's look at this image. Let's force it to hover state. Oh, sorry, not this one. Now we have to force this into hover. Okay. And then we click on image. And right over here, we can actually do contrast. No, we don't need to render it. If I could remember how change contrast CSS. See, I don't remember everything. Okay, so it's a filter property. Filter. Okay, I think this is really cool. Look at this. We change contrast to 1.2, and now once a person navigates over to a specific image, it actually brings it out. However, did you see how the buttons start to hide behind it? And that was because of the contrast, because of the filter property, which is rather strange. I've never seen it behave this way. Overflow hidden. That's so strange. Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe I can change it with that index by negative, by placing a negative number here. No, it's still there. Okay, I guess we'll have to live without the contrast. So I was trying to find a way around it and trying to find the reason why it didn't work. So there seems to be a Chrome issue. There's a bug that has the problem with the filter CSS, which breaks the overflow construct. So definitely we'll have to live without the filter element, unfortunately. So we'll just stick with this. Now the last element in this whole situation here, I want to modify the actual button, dock photography or whatever is here. I want to give it some animation potentially. Not sure exactly what we'll do with it, but I definitely want it to change. And we're going to do it the same way. When the outer div tag is hovered over, we're going to target the button element like this. And I'm actually going to keep this right now. I'm just going to copy the same transitions, the same elements from the image element. You can see how it starts to kind of separate out, which in itself is pretty cool. If you want to keep it this way, going to force state on hover. This way I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, let's have a look at the actual button layer. So this is the hover attribute of it. We can do margin top to, let's say, negative 10 pixels. So that's not going to separate as much, but still will separate a bit. It looks like the whole thing just zooms in. And there's a shade effect that gets applied to the outer element of the button. That is pretty cool. Let's also give it some different background color. Even white looks really nice. I mean, look at that. What if we give it some, I don't know, bluish, extremely light blue color? Maybe like that. I think blue really brings it out. It's a photography website. I think the blue color really highlights it, and we have a blue theme here going on at the same time. So I think this element is pretty much finished. Really cool transitions here. It looks like the whole thing is zooming in when in fact it's just two elements moving quite the opposite directions. I don't think I'm going to do anything else with it. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it like this. Too many fancy elements on the website will look trashy. I think this is just perfect. Going to save it. Okay, so that would be it for this element. Now you can see how everything just really works out nicely here. I'm going to be taking this. I know it took about 40 minutes to put something like this together, and that's usually how long it takes to create a beautiful element. And if you look at the prototype here, this is pretty much the main element of the website. It's the services section, so it really needs to look professional and well. What elements do we have here, and how many elements do we have in this entire website? We have a slider, which we're going to be just using a plugin for it. Testimonials, probably going to be using a plugin. It's not going to look exactly like this. It's going to look something similar, but not exactly. Frequently asked questions, we already have code programmed. So there's going to be some minor modification to the code, to FAQ. So realistically speaking, we're talking about maybe 30 minutes for FAQ, probably 30 minutes for testimonials, so that's 1 hour. About 20 minutes for this guy, and about 10 minutes to this guy. So that's 1 hour and a half. Let's say 1 hour for this thing. So that's going to be, what, 3 hours? 2 hours? So technically speaking, this website can be finished within 5 hours time. I'm talking about the homepage. Custom build. Why? Because we are able to use something that's called advanced custom fields. And we have also a library of scripts. ACF boot is the library of scripts that we're using to build a website. You can see that we have different sections here, content blocks. And each section that we have here comes with HTML, it comes with CSS, and it also comes with a majority of the sections here come with JSON file. JSON file allows me to quickly import advanced custom fields like this one's here into the ACF by using the tools option over here. So we just go into tools, choose the file, and I can import the actual library, from the library the actual element that I need to use on the website. So that really increases the speed of development for the websites. If you're interested in the advanced custom fields library that we have here, it is a paid subscription. We charge $5 a month, and there's a yearly membership fee for that. So it's going to be $60 per year, and you get access to this small development that we have. It's run by a small development group, a couple of developers here working together. So it's not refined, it's not finished, it does have bugs, and we're working on building out a new one. That's why it costs only $5 a month right now. So if you're interested in it, let me know. Go to my website, webbaker.com, go to contact, add your information here that you want to become part of the of our small community of developers, and I'll give you access to the library. Then you can build websites faster. So this section here, I'm going to be adding it to our library of scripts for other developers to use it in their development work. Thanks, and have a good day. Subscribe, please hit the like button, and your comments are always welcome.